Hello, it's time to talk stitching with the Stitching Owl. It is February the 18th, 2024, and I'm coming to you from London, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to anybody who's here for the first time. I hope you'll sit for a spell and see if there's something that you like and might feel comfortable liking and subscribing to my particular channel. Thank you so much to those of you who have joined me all of the way along. I really appreciate how supportive and encouraging your comments have been. I would love for you to visit Janet Jabber's Flosstube. She has a very cheerful demeanor, very happy and energetic at all times. And her latest video is so uplifting when she talks about kindness. We've been aware that there's been a few Flosstubers who've had comments that are not as uplifting as those that you are giving me. And our hearts go out to those people who have taken the time to be part of this wonderful community, to find that they have dissenters. So thank you so much. I'd like to say a hearty congratulations to Laura of Stitching by the Shore for reaching 5,000 subscribers. That is quite a special number, Laura. I know that everybody here is used to me referencing Laura because she's so much part of my life. I watch her videos every week. She puts them up every Friday. Occasionally a snafu with YouTube makes it a Saturday, and I'm usually one of the first people to take a look at her video. I find she's got a wide range of stitches that surely has something for everybody. I do not have a Send a Smile to report today. I am busy actually making things so that I have something to send, but I will be able to finish things off and have something to send out this next weekend, is my hope. While we're talking about weekends, let's talk about last weekend, and I know that for many of you, thoughts go to the Super Bowl. My thought goes to the superb owl. Yes, one letter changed position, and Stephanie of the Lindy Stitches and Kathy of Hands-On Design put on a mini retreat that was about 5 to 6 hours long during the Super Bowl for those of us that are not as engaged in the football world. They had the support of their wonderful husbands. Stephanie's husband is Jason, and Kathy's husband is Bill. They are a regular part of their business, and as such, were fully partaking in the running of this event. I am personally very thankful for Jason's patience. I keyed in on a computer that was not my own computer at the beginning of the event, and things didn't quite go as expected. I kept making it to the help desk, not to the stitching rooms. And I know that there was a fair amount of puzzlement on their end too. Ultimately, I realized, oh, there's my hubby and puppy Lola saying hello. Ah, yes, dog treats. She is a tummy on 4 paws. So I changed to my laptop computer. They sent me a new link, and bingo bongo, I was in and having fun with everybody else. So I am very grateful for the team that made this particular event possible. Okay, so let's see. The husbands, by the end of the night, actually had their own special moment where there was a husband challenge who knows more than the other. Because they're part of the businesses, the gals were asking them questions. And it was great fun as we found out how detailed they were going to make these questions. I thought they'd be pretty light, but you try and figure out whether they knew what color 310 really was. So that was sort of the highlight at the end of the evening. Throughout the event, there was multiple stitching rooms for people to gather in. There were events like, so you'd like to make a pattern. How do you go about doing that? There were chats just about their own process of designing and also about their own preparation and cooking for the snacks needed for such an evening. It was really a lovely evening, and there was even speed dating. In the stitching rooms, there were new stitchers, experienced stitchers, and Flosstubers. In the room that I was in, I met a number of people, and I have to admit, it was great fun to actually chat a bit with Jamie, the pink stitcher, and yes, you guessed it, Christie, one of the Floss Blossom cousins. I can tell you that they have their sense of humor going at all times and were a delight to stitch with. I know that there were many Flosstubers in other rooms. I just couldn't be everywhere at once. Speed dating was great fun. At different times in the evening, you could log on for 30 minutes of meeting another stitcher for 5-minute periods. So you would hop in at the beginning of the period and say, I'm ready, and suddenly you'd be talking to somebody. If you were in the middle of a conversation and wanted to, yes, you could extend your time by about 3 minutes. So I thought I had not done this at the Jingle Ball, and everybody had said how much fun this was. So I jumped in and I did 2 sessions, so a full hour of speed dating here. Now, the day before the Superb Owl took place, there was a Zoom for Across the Pond. And I have joined their Facebook group and wanted to try to do this Zoom. I didn't understand all of the steps to go through, and about 2 minutes before the Zoom was to begin, I realized I had missed some steps, so I wasn't able to get the link. And I felt badly, A, because I had wanted to be there, and B, because I had taken some of Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher's time, as she got me prepped to do this. So when I was speed dating, and the very first person that I got to talk to was Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, I was so excited. She is such a lovely lady, and I was able to explain what my confusion was the day before. Everything's fine. I'll be welcome to try it again next month, which is absolutely lovely. We had an absolutely amazing chat. We extended it by a little bit, and I can honestly say she is an inspiring person and so generous and loving. She is bringing up a second set of children as she takes over for her sister who she has lost. And she is so humble when she speaks of the responsibility that she has taken on. I'm just amazed by her and look forward to getting to know her further. Where will I put these? Okay. As you can tell, I glance down at my notes on a regular basis because I'm trying not to miss anything, even though on a regular basis, I think an hour after I've finished my taping, I missed something. So I also had the opportunity to chat with Michelle of the 2 Bay Stitchers. We were thrilled because we were both Canadian and we were fully aware of each other and have watched videos but had never had the chance to chat, so we did. And it was nice to get to know her. I was all smiles as I discovered 2 times that I was paired with Sandi of Yes, Stitching with Sandi. And you know that I Zoom with her every second Sunday because she hosts it completely for free and takes a lot of time with us. So yes, there were times where some people got paired up more than once, but it's okay. I ended up meeting 10 different people, and I even had a speed date with Jason. Yes, I dated Stephanie's husband. And actually that was so helpful because then he was able to say, how did you clear it up? Because we were waiting for you to pop back in and then you didn't show up, so we didn't know whether you'd just disappeared and given up or whether you'd gotten in. So I was able to explain the whole situation, and they know now if something like this comes along, another event, and I hope they have many more, that people should check their own computers first. Yes. So there was one 5-minute period where I had an opportunity to speak with somebody in Germany who was well past their bedtime. If you're watching this, could you put a comment below here? I was just so pleased to speak with you, and it would be lovely to get to know you further. So I had a great time. They, a part of this whole thing, let's see if I can find it. Oh, here we are. Kathy and Stephanie provided us with patterns, of course, owl-oriented, and my goodness, I felt like they were making this whole event especially for me, didn't I? So this owl was Stephanie's, and you can have it surrounded by people and football or hearts for Valentine's Day. And then Kathy created a parliament of owls because a group of owls is called a parliament. Each owl is different. I want to stitch all 4. Look at these guys. I cleaned the heads on my printer but seem to still have stripes. Look at the eyebrows. Each one of them has a different personality and they're named something different. We have snips, threads, specks, and hoops. Yes, they managed to make all of the names of the owls fit stitchers. I thought it was fabulous, and yes, I'm hoping to actually show you at least one of them very soon in my Flosstube journey. So it was a very convenient way to get together with other stitchers, sitting in my own home comfortably. We could snack as we wanted, chatter as we wanted. I hope you'll join us next time. And next time I will do better at giving a head warning, because one of the things that I realized I missed was telling everyone that I was going to this event. So, when we get to the stitching aspect of things, I want to start with the fact that Facebook, Stitching by the Shore, yes, Laura again, has started, I wouldn't call it a challenge. It's a relaxed approach to having fun prompts. And I do believe she's going to continue this on a monthly basis. What she does is she gives us 10 different prompts, and she calls it the I Spy Challenge. So you're supposed to look through what you're stitching and see if you can spy any of the things on the list. So let's see how far I've gotten so far. I haven't completed it, but prompt number 1 was to stitch something pink. Well, I completed Key to My Heart. Last week you saw me with this, and this is a freebie from the Tiny Modernist, and I had the word he. I had just started it and was telling you that I wanted to complete this as a Valentine for my mother. We visit every Friday for the day, and so I made it a priority. It took 2 days to stitch, and then I made it over the next 2 days after that into a flat fold. And yes, I took it to my mother. She was fascinated. My father was a woodworker who was able to frame anything. You just took him in something, and before long you would actually have a beautifully framed piece. I don't have my father any longer, and I'm not wanting to take apart the pieces that he has already done for me. And so it is that I am exploring other ways of fully finishing my pieces, especially the smaller ones. So if I'm lucky and did it right, there will be a picture of the flat fold. I think I took it. If not, you'll see it in person next time because I'll be switching out this week. So I stitched on this particular freebie, which was 47 by 78 stitches. It's not a big one. Let me see, what did I do it on? I didn't notate it, and for the life of me, it's not in front of me, so I can't remember fully. I'm sure it was some sort of even weave that was a 32 count, and that I personally changed all the reds to pinks. In part, oh no, I know what I did it on. Antique Atlantic. It was an aqua color, and because of that, I did everything in pink. And I also had taken a peek at the list and knew that pink would be the first prompt. Now, this particular stitch, if you look at this, it has a heart on it, and number 4 prompt was do something with a heart. So my goal for each one of the prompts is to do at least 30 minutes of stitching on whatever that prompt is, and I did more than 30 minutes on 2 different days, so I felt comfortable putting it in for 2 prompts. Now, prompt number 2, something sweet. Now, initially I thought, what am I going to do with that? But then I decided I was going to use my Bunny and Flower by Stitchissimo and say that the smell of the flower that the bunny was smelling was a sweet smell. So you can see Bunny smelling the flowers. Now I did fully finish this. Whoops, I need to flip down my ear. It will be able to be hung. This again is that Antique Atlantic 32 count Lugana. I was using DMC, most of the called for colors, but I did, these were supposed to be maybe bluebells of some sort, and I changed them to mauve, and I intensified the color of the blue on the dragonflies so that they could be seen just a bit. We all know that dragonflies are almost invisible, but I wanted it to be there a little bit. So this was adorable, and this was also possible to be used for the stitching prompt number 8, which was something that leaps because bunnies leap. Prompt number 3 was something that starts with the letter F, and I decided that the word flower starts with the word F, word, letter F. So I used my Prairie Schooler. These are Juncos. It's amazing when I actually really looked at the pattern of the Prairie Schooler. They told me what each one of those birds were. Otherwise I wouldn't have known that those are Juncos. So there's lots of flowers on this, and I was able to use this for that prompt. So I'm making little pillows out of these 47 by 49 smalls. I'm using 2 strands of DMC on 32 count Snowcap Murano Lagana by Pell Stitch Designs. Now last time I said I'd never heard of Pell Stitches really, and so when I was at the LNS I asked, and apparently they order their material in from the UK. If you ever come across it, it is lovely to stitch with. I highly recommend it. So, Prairie Schooler, Prairie Birds. Prompt number 5 is something that flies. I returned to the Prairie Birds and said that my wren flies. So all of the little information is the same as the Junco. Now, number 6 prompt was something that reminds you of a friend. And at this point, I haven't filled that in yet. There are so many things that I can say. Prompt number 7 was something red. Okay. So last time when we were together, I did a bit of a beading tutorial on Kitty's First Christmas by Christie Callahan of Turtle Bunny Designs. So I have fully finished, and I was able to say that during that period I used red for the beads to finish this particular Christmas ornament. So this is 2 strands of DMC floss on 32 count dirty porcelain linen. It's a Roxy Floss Co. linen. This particular pattern is out of, I believe, the 2020 Christmas Ornaments special from Just Cross Stitch. He turned out very nicely, and you can see, last week I said when you're finished you can't see the stitches. So there's the front. I was stitching with red. You can't see the stitches on the white. And there's the back. At the very top, if you look, you can see it very tiny. But when you just look at this, not at all. And this is just cotton left over from a t-shirt quilt that I did for someone who wanted her t-shirt surrounded in yellow, orange, and red. It was the brightest quilt I've ever made. I have to keep what I've shown separate from what's waiting. So that beading, I will admit, took a couple of hours to go around that whole thing. I love the effect, and because I've got great company by other Flosstubers who are chatting away about what they are stitching, I have no problem taking a couple of hours to do the beading. Prompt number 9 is something you love. I haven't posted that yet. I could actually put any cross stitch in here and say it's something I love. I'm almost tempted to say my owl. Probably that will be what it'll be. And prompt number 10, something that makes you smile. There are so many things that make me smile. I just haven't narrowed it down yet. So I've got a few prompts left to do. You can see that these prompts are such that many, many different stitches would fit the prompt. Laura's trying to make this a stress-free, fun way to work your way through doing posts on her Facebook group. Now, I hope you will feel comfortable joining the Stitching by the Shore Facebook group. It is a lot of fun. Everything's positive, and it's only a couple of easy stitching questions and you're in. I'm going to pop in here some 2 for the price of 1 moments. The Bunny and Flower fully finished was also part of the Colorado Cross Stitchers Winter Cross Stitch Camp 2024, where the theme was an owl. What you're to do is to start something with an animal and post on Instagram a picture of your materials on February 1st or somewhere therein. Stitch as far as you get and then post where you are at the end of the month. I actually have already posted the picture of my finish and tagged not just Winter Cross Stitch Camp 2024, but also Colorado Cross Stitcher. That ensures that she gets it now that Instagram is a little bit weird about their hashtags. I also had a 2 for the price of 1 with the kitty ornament because it is also part of the X-Stitch Xmas 365, which is an stitch along that is being run by the Peacock Stitcher and Cross Stitch the Globe. Okay, now we're going to go into the regular chapters that we have. Oh, we're almost at half an hour. So, fully finished objects. Okay, got it. Well, with regards to fully finished objects, I've been helping my daughter this week. So, she finished the lavender picture last week that I showed. That is by Maria Brovko, who has the Cute Patterns by Maria on Etsy. So this week, I have finished it as a stand-up. Now, I'm debating putting some trim along the side. My one hesitation is I know there will be times where she's going to want to store it flat, and I don't want to add anything that will actually end up being crushed. Because if I put the rickrack the way I want it and she lays it down, it's probably going to get crushed. But didn't she do a wonderful job? Now this has 3 layers of quilt cotton underneath it to just give it a little bit of dimension, which doesn't show well in the camera here. But in person, it's got a bit of poof, which I really like. She also, I gave her patterns for doing smalls, like 4 or 5 of these little patterns. And she finished a pony and a kitty, and I keep forgetting, and they are La Selva designs. La Selva is also on Etsy, and I think they have a sale on right now. So a little colt and a Siamese cat. Now, I have a son with a Siamese cat, so my daughter is getting ahead on her Christmas stitching already, which is pretty amazing. And I think there's 4 different designs in that Siamese cat, so she'll be able to make a set of those for Christmas and just carry, they're such small stitches, she can just carry them around to do wherever she is. So I will just give you a little look. These are the 3 prairie birds that I finished this week. I admit I had to take apart one where I put the charm on backwards, but it's okay. I got it back together. And these are the 3 prairie birds from last week. So I have 4 more to go. And then I have to admit that I think I'm going to stitch some of the patterns a second time. I really enjoy them, and I found that they were very possible to stitch while I was on a Zoom. Yes, there's changing colors, but that's not difficult counting, and it's always nice to have something like that. So just before I finish the fully finished, I wanted to talk to you for a moment about the 2 Tall Stitchers. They are hosting a hashtag on Instagram called FFO Challenge 2024. Now, they started this in 2023 when Jennifer wanted to fully finish objects that had been sitting finished for some time. And she made a Whipco board specific to those finishes. And she did a great job. I think she did a blackout last year. And then she decided it was such a great idea that not just because she got a lot done, but because others were joining in on this and posting such lovely finishes on Instagram. So I'm going to start using that hashtag as well. So just a reminder, hashtag FFO Challenge 2024, and see if this year she can have more posts than she did last year. Now to go for finished objects. So I continue to work on my birdhouses, and I did successfully finish. So I guess it's a finish for now, but I finished the February birdhouse. These are part of the Au Fil de Nichois by Jardin Privé pattern. The stitch is part of the birdhouse sal, also known as the Oct to Oct sal or the Au Fil de Nichois sal, that is being hosted by Colette, the highway stitcher, and Brenda, the handwork maniac. Now, I'm just going to fold my material a bit. There's my February. We've got 2 little lovebirds on top of our red house that isn't quite a heart, but sort of, and then 2 ornaments and 2 flowers. Now, I'm going to tell you, I changed the color of this bird over here because that bird was the exact match for this material. Now this is 28 count Panettone even weave, and I'm stitching 1 over 1. You can see how big my hand is and how big that is. I'm making them tiny so I can make ornaments. This is a fabric that was created by Roxy Flosco for Evertote. Now, I just spoke of Colette, the highway stitcher. She is a fabulous stitcher with a wide range of stitches, and right now she is doing full coverage February and making great progress on a number of full coverages. She has many more going than I do. And Brenda, the handwork maniac, wow, her floss tubes are action-packed. I'm sure she enables almost everybody every time. Her stitching is absolutely beautiful, and I know that she's looking forward to retiring in June so that she can do even more stitching than she's doing now, which will be amazing. I continue to stitch my Quakers and have fun with my Quakers. So Shelia and EJ of the Sunshine Stitchers are hosting the Bake Me a Quaker Sal, stitch along or sew along, depending on how you want to think of it, using this Rosewood Manor, there it is, pattern. So you can see that all of these patterns are Quakers. Some of the teeny tiny ones are over 1. So I'm doing these individually. This month I'm doing this one that has the tulips on it. I had thought that I would be able to get at least one Quaker ornament done, but there wasn't enough hours in the day. So last week you saw this Quaker, and I actually got a second one of those done so that I can have, and then this is my next coloring. One of the things that I want to do is to put a longer hanger on these so that people can hang these from a suction cup in their window and have the stitch shown from the outside and the inside alike. So that's what this month is, but that means each Quaker has double the stitching, taking me twice as long, and I'm not getting to quite as many fully finished as is normal for me. Yeah. And now for a surprise finish, yes. Well, maybe I should say a 99% finish. There are a few background strips to put in, but other than that, my winter cardinals are done. So this was a pattern, and you can find it right now on Instant Stitch. Yes, it is full coverage. The dimension created in the snow, those little hills, by the many colors of white and gray is amazing. And you can even see that the globe, the way this is colored, you can actually see that circular feeling of them being inside a globe. I just think that this is a gorgeous stitch. I'm not sure how I'm going to finish it. I think it was about 16,000 stitches, less if you decided to do pretty fabric on the background instead of the 3371. Yes, I got a cone of it. I would have used more than 2 skeins to do this. I was stitching on a 32 count even weave. I think they had planned it to be 16 Aida, but it doesn't truly matter. This can work on anything. I used all the DMC colors. When it comes to full coverage, I don't think I'm ever going to be adventuresome with coloration because there is so specific shading involved. But I hope that Instant Stitch is pleased with how this has turned out, because I certainly am. Now I'm just going to take a moment before we leave the area of finishes to say thank you to everybody who left a comment in answer to my question. My question last week was, do you want a shaded overlap, or would you rather have nothing so that you can just tape your sheets of paper together and not have to work through that? I had one stitcher who answered with a very firm, I do not like the overlaps. They frustrate me. And then everyone else said, I wish there was always 2 to 4 lines of overlaps. So it seems like there's most of us that would prefer to have the overlaps. I don't know if it's possible for our designers to actually provide it both ways, because I've not worked with a cross stitch program before to know how this is done. So, I mean, that would be the ideal thing, wouldn't it? And now for works in progress. So we've already talked about prairie birds. So not only do I have 6 finishes, I still have works in progress. So actually, these 2 are finished. These are the hummingbirds and this is the goldfinch. Now, if you're thinking that this one doesn't look the same dimensions as this, it is not your imagination. I seem to have added to the height of this somehow. So this one is going to end up being a flat fold, and I'm going to redo this particular, the hummingbird, to be the same size of Little Pillow. Now this is one where you'll notice that I did change the colors of the flowers. They are not apricot, they are pink, like the flowers that I remember from my childhood. This one is the one that's in progress right this week. I've got a lot of the leaves. There's cardinals here. For me, cardinals are red that are male and kind of a golden color that are female. And I think I'm going to try and chart that rather than the apricot color. Even though I have seen them beautifully done in that apricot color by both Kathy of the Carolina Cross Stitcher and Amy Renewing Stitches, I think I'm going to make mine different. I continue to enjoy stitching on Under the Stars by Modern Folk Embroidery. I am stitching on Blue Moon 32 count Lagana with 4 variegated yellow 12 weight sulky thread. I do love using 1 strand of thread on 32, but with something like DMC or overdyes, I really find 2 is necessary. Now last week, I had started this part of the center. I got the other part done, and I have stitched this underneath part of the star. So this is about half, and I'm going to have it mirrored down here. Then I will finish this, put this on the other side, and then the big job happens. I need to figure out what it is that I'm doing with the rest of the stitch to account for the fact that I don't have quite enough material to do all of Jacob's pattern. Now Carmen of Cardamom Pins on Flosstube is starting a Jacob Sleeper Sal to celebrate Jacob's lesser known works. I wanted to join Carmen, I really do, but I'm also aware that I really didn't want to have 2 large projects by the same designer at the same time. So I hunted on Jacob's website, Modern Folk Embroidery, and I decided that I was going to join Sarah of Sew Me Sarah in Peacock Tree because I think it is doable. Now they show this as a single color. I think I'm going to do 2 colors. I'd love to have a variegated turquoise for the birds and maybe a variegated green for the leaves. Not sure how I'm going to do the outside. It might be a 3rd. I have to admit that at this point I have not purchased those flosses to start it. The So Long is starting the beginning of March, although Carmen is actually performing in that area, so she's not going to start it till the 10th. So just in case I don't get back to my LNS super quick, I have a backup of geometric flowers that I can start with floss that I have here. with this one, what he does is he's provided you with 1/4 pattern, and all you do is flip around how you have it on your lap to look at the pattern, and that's how you end up with the 4 sides. So I have 2 options there. If those options are quick stitches, I would actually like to do them both. I just don't know how that's going to play out because, well, you'll soon see. I am not going to show you my songbird today. The songbird wasn't turning out to be quite as much fun as I thought it was going to be. And one day I was like, oh, yay! Kim, the Contented Needleworker, has put up a new Flosstube. And on that Flosstube, she showed many of her birds. And I went, that's it. Now I know what Karen, the stitching owl, is supposed to do. I don't have to do everything as it is on the pattern. Yes, the pattern is still Country Cottage sampling because the bird will be theirs and the leaves and the bluebells that I choose to include will be theirs. But how I lay it out will end up being a little bit of my own configuration, and I'm going to do it instead of on 32 count, 2/2. I'm going to make it smaller and do it on 36, 40, or 20, depending on what I've got in my stash. I want to use material from stash. So the SAL is hosted by Kim as well as Amy from the Renewing Stitches Flosstube. I will be back, and I hope to be back with something next time. But for today, I'm not showing you anything on that. So now you're wondering, well, how is the big awesome art project going, your BAP? I continue to be thrilled that the New Hampshire Stitcher started this. My goal this week was to make it more recognizable that this is an owl. And so I continued to work on those feathers that were part of the great horn of the great horned owl. And I decided I needed to do the eye. Look at that. That eye is amazing. It's got a lot of different colors in it, I promise you. And I've got a lot of these feathers, and you can see that this swoops down now. So this spot right here is actually the middle of the pattern. I did get a little bit done down here on those moments where confetti was getting to be too much. I did a bit of these reddy purples and a little bit of this blue here. Now, how about some statistics? Okay, so at this point, I have stitched 63,986 stitches for 39.99% finish. I just couldn't get it to 40%. I needed to have some sleep last night. So I know I'll be to 40% when I see you next. So I think I'm doing very well. I started at September 16th of 2023. Now I am joining Jen the Caffeinated Stitcher in the challenge of completing 25,000 stitches in 25 weeks with one project, and I'm using my OWL project. I started my count on February 1st, and that was 56,904, which means that as of today, the 18th, I have 7,082 stitches towards my 25,000. I think I can make it. I'm so excited. Okay, my next category is starts. Yeah, you heard me right. I did some more starts. You heard it, not just one. So I've been telling you about the Year of the Dragon Sew Along. That's being hosted by Samantha, the Huga Stitcher, and Erica of Fibers and Floss Canada. They are from more western provinces than I am from. My husband has a collection of dragons, so I obviously had to jump in with this one. But again, I needed to be logical. I saw some gorgeous dragons. The chromatic dragon is absolutely exquisite. And there's some beautiful Haid dragons. But I think they're too big for everything I've got on my plate right now. And then I remembered that when the children were little, my husband, they asked him what his favorite color was. And I don't know whether purple is really his favorite color or whether he just said purple, why not? But he did say purple. So I hunted for a purple dragon. Now let's see if I can find this. There we go. So what you can't see is that in the center, this is an hourglass with sand going. This is called Dragon Keeping Time by Maria Brovko, who runs the Cute Patterns by Maria on Etsy. Now, oh dear. Right now, I did start this. It does not look like a dragon, but look at this material. This is another Pell Stitches material, and it's called a perfect dragon name, Rumbling Thunder. And you look at it and you go, yeah, it looks like clouds forming for thunder. So I thought this was perfect, and I only needed half of my fat quarter in order to do this, so I've got some left for another time. So I have this, what you saw was 1,099 stitches. There is 14,522, which means that I'm at 7.57%. My goal is to do 5% per week. I started a week ago yesterday, so I did my first 5%, and then this morning I did another bit. It's amazing how much quicker the percentages go up when you only have 14,000 versus 160,000 stitches. Now, I have to tell you that I was absolutely thrilled that Maria's pattern dropped into Pattern Keeper without any muss and fuss over the gridding. It just popped in perfectly. Now, I did have to go in and put the color numbers of DMC next to the symbols. That took less than half an hour. I think it took less than 25 minutes. So I'm now finding that really easy and quick to do because it's in Pattern Keeper. So I'm thrilled with that start, and I'm happy to be part of the sew along. And the question is, what was my other start? Well, Quaker flag. I have purchased the Canada flag that is in the Vivsters Etsy shop. Now, yeah, this is a big project. I'm completely aware it's a big project. But I was seeing so many beautiful flags. And then my friend Trisha, I Just Want to Stitch. And yes, you, Laura, Stitching by the Shore, were diving in with your flags. And I thought, oh, I want to do Canada then. If you guys, Trisha's doing the one for Britain. She is Canadian, but she was born in Britain, so I totally get it. And the British flag is gorgeous too. So the other reason that I did it is I'm a regular watcher of the Flosstuber Stitching on the Rock. And you're thinking, is it rock or rocks? Rock. So she's a fellow Canadian from the East Coast, Newfoundland, Labrador area where, yes, you guessed it, the land is rocky. So it was a brilliant name. So she had started hers well ahead of me. The question that we have, now I took a picture of this as well. So this is the Canadian flag. Oh, there's my husband sneaking by.
Need food.
Yeah, he needs food. So that's not coming up well. What you can't see is that between each Quaker, there is a very dark row of stitches. And like almost black. It wasn't 310, maybe 939. But Deanna was going, our flag is only red and white. Do I want to put that dark color on? And I thought, ooh, that's a really good question. So I did one Quaker, and even one Quaker is quite an undertaking. Okay, let me tell you why. Every flag is done a little bit differently. The red on the Canadian flag, you are doing the background. The Quaker is what you don't stitch. So I have, yes, a huge piece of material. This is linen, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see that it's effervescent or not. You sort of see a little bit of the twinkle. Now, it's been listed, they corrected the 36 and said it was 35, and I think they went the wrong direction. I think it's closer to 37 or 38. So this is my first Quaker. I start on the top right hand. So again, there's my hand next to the Quaker. What you see here, I have put, instead of something that is almost black, a maroon color, so that when it's next to the red, at a distance, it actually will look red. And when you're up close trying to look at the Quakers, it will separate it out. When I get to the white parts, I will likewise choose some sort of gray that at a distance will melt into the white, but when up close will separate each of the Quakers, because I think that those lines were there just to separate each of the Quakers. So I'm doing this in sulky thread. One thread over, this is over two. Yes, if I'd done it over one, it would have been half that size. Oh my goodness. And it would have taken me twice as long. So that has 630 stitches in the one Quaker. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? If I'm lucky, I'll be able to get a second flag on this piece of material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work down the right-hand side and see how I can map it out to the bottom. I realize that I can do the math. But Karen has been out of high school for quite some time and doesn't trust her high school math. So I am not cutting that material till I know for sure. And now a headline, what I didn't get to. I had intended to start a smallish bumblebee no to support Karla being crafty in her yearly Be Your Own Valentine sal. At this point, I just don't have enough time to fit in one more stitch with everything that I want to do with my taking part in swaps and all the rest of that stuff. So I have it in my computer. I will print it when I have the time, but I'm not going to forget Karla being crafty. Did you know that there is an app That is called, hang on, Thread-a-log. It looks like this. T-H-R-E-A-D-A-L-O-G. Now, there's a free version and a paid version. This is a way to keep track of your different flosses. It's got all of the DMC in there, and it's got a lot of the specialty threads like coloring cotton, and I can't even remember what the full list is, and the app is on the iPad that I make my videos on, so I can't show you. But if you have a tablet, I'm going to suggest that you have a peek at that, because within this program, you can actually write in how many you have of each color, whether it's skeins or cones. You can make a shopping list for what you need. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has ended up buying the second skein of something I already had and missed getting one that I needed. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And I'm going to thank Olivia C. for bringing that to my attention. She is a Flosstuber who I enjoy watching. She has a very lyrical voice, and it's interesting. The Flosstube uploaded recently, she was talking about the fact that she started this year giving herself parameters, that she was not going to purchase more patterns until like July, and she gave herself a bunch of things that she felt was best for her at that time. And then in this video, she came to the realization that for herself, this might not be for you, but for herself, she needed to love what she stitched and stitch what she loved. If she loved a new pattern, buy it and stitch it. So she is off her diet and is just beaming as she does her presentation again. So Olivia C. I also want to bring your attention to a few Flosstubers. Another one is Stitching in High Heels. She's great fun for me to watch. She has more than one whip go board, and I think she's got 2 dedicated to ornaments. You can see why I'm excited. One of them has to do with stitching ornaments, and one of them has to do with fully finishing ornaments. So she's trying to have a year where she's going to end up with a whole lot of ornaments that are created by her on her tree. So, stitching in high heels. It's not the only thing she stitches. There's great variety. So now we have to ask her to show us the high heels that she wears while she's making her Flosstube. And I do like to support people who are jumping into their very first Flosstube and encourage you to try them out. Give them a little love. 2 crossed stitchers. So it's a number 2. You'll see I'm putting it up here. So Amy and Mary Lou have a lovely friendship that reaches through the screen. They did very well with their very first Flosstube. I immediately subscribed. The Hathaway Stitchers are sisters who chatter away comfortably and were so natural in front of the camera, it was hard to believe it was their first Flosstube. Now, it is possible that one of them had exposure to making videos for their work, but definitely enjoyable. Again, I subscribed. And I also want to bring to your attention April_heirlooms. that I also fully enjoyed. So there's some new ones for you to peek at while you stitch on a late night or a weekend afternoon. And let's not forget people who have birthdays. Sew Me Sarah and Flossie Sews and Grows are hosting the Fun for 50 Sal. Penny's daughter Shares has the hashtag Celebrate 50 Start Along. I've also discovered that Darlene Dion is turning 60 and she's doing 60 starts this year. She's a wonderful designer. She's a stitcher. She's a Flosstuber. She's somebody to check out. And now a moment for music. When I go to retirement homes to play, the people want to hear things that they are familiar with. The music that we play to our elders can sometimes break through the mist that aging can cause or disease can cause. So they like familiar hymns, they like familiar melodies. And Karen likes to combine those two things together. So today you'll be hearing The Swan by Camille Saint-Saëns mixed with Moment by Moment. The composer-arranger is Cindy Berry, a very gifted musician who provides a wide range of ages with gorgeous music that's in a variety of styles. Cindy Berry, The Swan with Moment by Moment. And here we are. It's time for us to say goodbye again. Thank you for coming to my corner of the internet. I so enjoy getting to know you. I know that I'm talking to my iPad, but I also know I'm talking to you. And your comments give me this sense of community that brings true happiness to my soul. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. I hope that today you have had needle, thread, and fabric in hand to make something beautiful, and that you make yourself happy.